Welcome back to English from A to Z. Today we are diving deep, really deep, into something quite specific. It's a structured 5-day-a-week plan for learning English. And this isn't just, general tips. It's a very tactical roadmap. Comes from an expert guide, Bob the Canadian, actually.
That's right. It promises, well, a lot of efficiency for the time you put in, maximum gain, minimum time sort of thing.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack this schedule. It's built around just 1 hour a day, Monday to Friday.
Which sounds manageable for most people.
It does. But here's the really interesting part. It's designed quite cleverly, I think, to make you use all 5 core language skills every single day.
Reading, writing, listening, speaking, and vocabulary.
Right. Not just focusing on one favorite skill, but hitting all of them consistently. It's about balance, discipline, and using high leverage activities.
Turning that passive learning, just listening or reading, into active production.
Okay, let's really unpack this then. What if you had this super clear, actionable roadmap, just 1 hour a day, and it forces you basically to practice everything? The claim is this could be the best way to learn English because it prevents you getting stuck doing only what you like or what's easy.
Right. Because we all do that, don't we? We gravitate towards, say, listening to music or watching videos and maybe neglect the speaking part.
Definitely. So this structure, it claims to cut through all that information overload, make things efficient. But the big question is, does this kind of rigid daily focus actually work? Or is it just another overwhelming to-do list that you'll abandon after a week?
Well, that's what's fascinating. It's not just a list. It's more like a framework, a system. And it seems built around solid ideas, cognitive principles like consistency and applying what you learn immediately. Like you said, learners often stick to their comfort zone. Maybe they love reading but hate writing, or vice versa. This plan directly tackles that inertia.
How so? By forcing the switch.
Exactly. It sets a main focus for the day, say reading on Monday, so you go deep on that. But then, crucially, it makes you integrate the other 4 skills using often the same material you just read.
Oh, okay. So it's interconnected.
Very. And that predictability, knowing exactly what you need to do each day, that removes a huge mental barrier. You don't waste energy wondering, okay, what should I study today?
That's a really good point. Decision fatigue is real. If you know Monday is reading focused for 40 minutes, then speaking, writing, listening integration for 20, you're much more likely to just sit down and do it.
Precisely. It lowers the activation energy required to start.
Okay, so let's get into the foundations then. What do you actually need to start? The commitment, the tools, the basics. All right, first up, the time commitment. The plan lays out about 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Which adds up to 5 hours a week. Compared to some crazy schedules people try to follow, this feels doable, sustainable.
Yeah, it's designed not to be overwhelming because the key is sticking with it long term, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there's some built-in flexibility, too, which is smart.
Oh, how so?
Well, the plan acknowledges that, life happens. Sometimes an hour just isn't possible. So if you only have 30 minutes, that's okay.
But there's a catch, I assume.
There is. The rule is you must use the majority of that shorter time on the day's main focus. So if it's reading day and you only have 30 minutes, most of that needs to be reading.
Okay, so that preserves the core structure of the week.
Yeah.
You can scale down the time, but not abandon the focus.
Exactly. It protects the integrity of the system. And honestly, consistency, even if it's just 30 focused minutes every weekday, that beats sporadic, 8-hour cram sessions on a Saturday.
Oh, definitely. Those marathon sessions often just lead to burnout anyway.
Right. Consistency is king.
Okay, toolkit. What do you need? Surprisingly low tech, according to the source.
It really is. Just 2 main things to get started before Monday: a notebook and a pen.
A physical notebook and pen. In this age of apps and digital everything, why so old school?
It's about active engagement. When you physically write something down, a new word, a definition, you're using motor memory. It helps solidify the connection in your brain.
Hmm, interesting. The physical act of writing helps you remember.
Yes. You're manually recording, organizing. It seems simple, but it's quite powerful for vocabulary, especially when you get to Friday's review session. Digital tools are great, don't get me wrong, but that initial handwriting step adds a deeper level of processing.
Moving knowledge from the screen to the hand. I like that. Okay, so notebook, pen, what else?
Then you need to make 3 crucial content choices. These will be your anchors for the week.
Anchors.
Yeah, you need to pick one English song you like, one English book you want to read, and one English TV show you want to watch.
Okay, a song, a book, and a show. Why these three specifically?
This is where the engagement factor really kicks in. These aren't random choices. They become the context for almost everything you do that week. The vocabulary you learn comes from the book you're actually enjoying or the show you're trying to understand.
So it makes the learning relevant to your interests.
Instantly relevant. You're not just learning abstract lists of words.
Got it. And presumably, you need an internet connection for some of this.
Yes, an internet connection is listed as essential for accessing news, YouTube, maybe audiobooks, things like that.
But why limit it to just one song, book, and show? Why not let people jump between lots of different things? Seems a bit restrictive.
It might seem restrictive, but it's actually a smart way to prevent cognitive overload.
How so?
If you're constantly switching contexts, different books, different shows, different topics, your brain has to work much harder to keep track of everything. Sticking to these 3 core pieces of media means you encounter the same vocabulary and grammar structures repeatedly, but in slightly different ways.
So you might read a word in the book on Monday.
And then hear it in the TV show on Wednesday. It provides natural spaced repetition, makes the learning feel more integrated, less fragmented.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Those choices tie the week together.
hmm
Which brings us to the underlying philosophy, this idea of equal balance.
Yes, this is fundamental to why the plan works, or claims to work. Over the whole week, the system is designed so you spend roughly an equal amount of dedicated time on each of the 5 pillars.
Reading, writing, listening, speaking, vocabulary.
Exactly. It forces you to address all of them, preventing what linguists sometimes call skill atrophy.
Skill atrophy, like one skill getting weaker because you don't use it.
Precisely. You might become really good at understanding, reading, and listening, the receptive skills, but if you never practice producing language, speaking, and writing, you'll just freeze up when you need to actually use it.
We've all been there. So this equal balance structure is like a safety net.
It's a guarantee against those imbalances. The plan ensures all 5 skills get touched on every single day, even if the main focus is different. So even on Monday, the reading day, you'll still do a little bit of speaking, a little writing, a little listening.
Wow, okay. That constant integrated practice. Yeah. That sounds like the real engine here.
It is. You're constantly switching gears, moving from input reading or listening straight into output writing or speaking. That switching, sometimes called task interleaving, is actually proven to be better for long-term memory than just focusing on one thing for ages.
Fascinating. Okay, let's break down the weeks then, starting with Monday.
Yeah.
The start of the week, the foundation. The main focus is reading. You dedicate a good chunk of your hour, say 30 to 40 minutes, just to reading English.
Right, it's the primary intake day, getting information in.
And the sources for reading are varied, which seems smart. You've got your chosen book for that continuous story and context.
Yep. Then there's reading the news in English using an app or website. This gives you real-world, current language, how people talk about events right now.
Practical stuff. And the third one is interesting. Simple Wikipedia.
Ah, yes, Simple Wikipedia. This is such a valuable resource. We really need to highlight why it's recommended.
Okay, tell us more. How is it different?
Regular Wikipedia can be dense. Really complex sentences, tons of technical jargon, assumes a lot of background knowledge. Simple Wikipedia, on the other hand, is written using, well, simpler English,
Meaning?
Shorter sentences, more common vocabulary, basic verb tenses. It's specifically designed to be easier to understand for learners or people with reading difficulties.
So it's like a stepping stone.
No.
For intermediate learners, maybe? B1, B2 level, perhaps? People who want the information but get bogged down by super complex language.
Exactly that. It lets you understand complex topics without needing a dictionary for every other word. It manages the complexity. Great scaffolding.
Nice tip. But regardless of what you're reading, book, news, simple Wikipedia, there's a mandatory task, right?
Absolutely non-negotiable. Vocabulary integration. As you read, you must actively pull out new words or phrases, write them down in your notebook with a short definition.
So you're not just passively scanning the text. You're actively hunting for new language.
Yes. This transforms reading from just consumption into active collection. It fuels the vocabulary review you'll do on Friday. Without this step, Monday is much less effective.
Okay, that makes the reading purposeful. Now, what if the book you chose is just too hard? It happens. You
Yeah.
pick something ambitious and it feels overwhelming. Does the plan account for that?
It does. There's a really pragmatic strategy included called the bilingual hack or the reading strategy nugget.
Bilingual hack. Sounds intriguing.
It's designed to keep you going even if the English is tough. The idea is find the same book, but in your native language.
Okay, then what?
Then you alternate. Read one chapter in English. If it was difficult, read the next chapter in your native language. Then switch back to English for the chapter after that. Flip back and forth.
Oh, that's clever. So the native language chapter gives you the plot and context.
Precisely. You understand what's happening, who the characters are. Then when you tackle the next chapter in English, your brain isn't struggling with both the plot and the language. It can focus just on the English, the words, the sentence structure, because the story context is already clear.
That drastically reduces the cognitive load.
Mm.
Stops you from feeling completely lost and wanting to give up.
Exactly. It helps you stay in that flow state while reading the English rather than hitting a wall of frustration. It keeps the momentum going.
Brilliant hack.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the main 30, 40 minutes of reading and vocabulary hunting, what happens in the remaining 20 minutes or so?
That's where the integrated skills practice comes in, using the material you just read, primarily the book.
Okay, like what?
For speaking practice, read part of the book out loud. Just to yourself is fine. It connects the visual words on the page to the physical act of saying them. Good for pronunciation, muscle memory.
Makes sense. And writing.
Write out a few sentences or a short passage from the book. Not just mindless copying, but really noticing the grammar, the way sentences are built, internalizing good structure.
And listening.
Find an audiobook version if you can. Listen to a bit of the chapter you just read. Hearing the words spoken helps reinforce pronunciation and rhythm.
So Monday is all about the book, really. Reading it, speaking it, writing it, listening to it, pulling vocabulary from it.
Yes, it's very focused. You leverage that one core piece of content, the book, for practice across multiple skills. Sets a strong foundation for the rest of the week.
All right, that's Monday covered. Let's move to Tuesday. The focus shifts dramatically, right?
Completely. Tuesday is the main production day. The focus is squarely on writing. Again, 30 to 40 minutes dedicated to generating your own English output.
And the prompts seem very structured, aimed at specific grammar points.
Very much so. Deliberate practice. The first task is write 5 things you did yesterday.
Forcing past tense practice, especially those tricky irregular verbs.
Exactly. And the second task is write 5 things you plan to do tomorrow.
Okay, so drilling future tense constructions. Will, going to, present continuous for future, etc.
Right. These tenses are absolutely essential for everyday conversation and storytelling, but they're also common problem areas for learners. This structure forces you to actively use them. Think about the forms, the auxiliary verbs, the time markers. You can't just avoid them.
Targeted grammar practice, integrated into the schedule. Smart. What else happens on writing day?
Then you move beyond simple sentences. You need to write about the book you're reading specifically, things you like or dislike about it.
Okay, expressing opinions. More complex language needed there.
Yes. And you also need to write a short summary, maybe 5 to 10 sentences of the part of the book you read on Monday.
So, checking comprehension and practicing summarizing skills, connecting back to Monday's work.
It reinforces the reading. But then comes a really interesting real-world writing task, the YouTube tactic. The plan actively encourages you to go onto YouTube, find videos you like, could be anything, and leave comments in English.
Oh, I love that. Taking the learning out of the notebook and into the wild, so to speak.
Exactly. It's immediate, authentic communication practice. And the source points out you might even get a reply from the creator or just other commenters.
That potential for interaction is huge for motivation, isn't it? You're not just writing for yourself or a teacher, you're putting your English out there for real people to see and maybe respond to. Adds a bit of a thrill.
Absolutely. It raises the stakes in a positive way. And, of course, vocabulary work continues.
How does that fit in on writing day?
As you're writing your summaries, your opinions, your YouTube comments, you'll inevitably need words you don't know. You look them up, figure out how to use them, and add them to your notebook.
So is vocabulary learning driven by your own need to express yourself?
Which is often the most effective kind. Way more memorable than random word lists.
Okay, so you've done all this writing. How do you check it? How do you know if it's any good? That's where the integrated skills for Tuesday come in.
Yes, and they are really focused on self-correction. First, reading. Simply read over everything you wrote. Proofread your own work.
Standard enough. But the listening part sounds like a great hack.
It really is. The suggestion is to use Google Translate or a similar text-to-speech tool. Paste your sentences in and hit the speaker button. Listen to the computer read your English back to you.
Why is that so helpful?
Because when we read our own writing silently, our brain often skips over errors or reads what we intended to write, not what's actually there. Hearing it read aloud by a neutral, native-sounding voice instantly highlights awkward phrasing, grammatical mistakes, or unnatural rhythms that your eyes might miss.
It's like getting a quick, honest, external check on how natural your sentences sound.
Exactly. An invaluable tool for self-assessment.
And then the speaking practice for Tuesday.
Is to read those same sentences, the ones you wrote, and listen to out loud yourself. Try to mimic the correct pronunciation and rhythm you just heard.
Ah, closing the loop. Write it, hear it, say it.
It's a perfect little feedback cycle for improving sentence construction and flow.
Okay. And if there's any time left in the hour after all that?
The suggestion is flexible. Maybe spend a few minutes on a language app like Duolingo for some extra practice, or just relax and listen to your chosen English song a couple of times.
Using the song again as a low-effort way to keep the immersion going.
Right. Keep your ear tuned to English, even during the cool-down period.
All right, halfway through the week, we hit Wednesday, which is designated as the listening focus day, the immersion day.
Yes, and the source notes this often becomes people's favorite day.
I can see why. The activities sound more relaxed, more like entertainment.
They are definitely more input-focused and can be very enjoyable. The main goal is to fill the hour with listening to English from various sources.
So what kind of listening?
Primarily, watch your chosen TV show. That's a big chunk of it. Then listen to your chosen song a few times through. Maybe you watch some other general YouTube videos in English that catch your interest. And listen to chapters from the audiobook of your chosen book, Connecting Back Again.
That's a good mix. You get the conversational speed and slang from the TV show.
The repetition and rhythm from the song.
A informal style from YouTube.
And maybe more formal narration from the audiobook.
So it exposes you to different speeds, accents, levels of formality.
Yeah.
Tuning your ear.
Exactly. High volume, diverse input. It's crucial for building that real-world comprehension ability. But crucially, it can't just be passive background noise.
Ah, there's the catch again. You have to stay engaged.
You do. And the way the plan ensures this is, once again, vocabulary integration. Even while you're enjoying your TV show, you need to be listening for new words or idioms. Pause, write them down in the notebook.
So the notebook is always there, linking the fun part back to the learning goal.
Always. It turns passive watching into active listening and collection. If you just binge watch for an hour and don't note down anything new, you've basically just been entertained, not necessarily learned much actively.
Discipline, even on the fun day.
Got it.
What about the integrated practice for Wednesday, if there's time left?
It leans heavily towards speaking and pronunciation, actually. The reading-writing part is simple. Maybe write a few sentences about the TV show or how the song makes you feel. Quick output.
But the speaking focus.
Is all about shadowing. This is a really powerful technique the plan highlights.
Shadowing. We need to explain that. What exactly is it?
It means you listen to someone speaking like an actor in your TV show or the singer of your song, and you try to speak at the exact same time, mimicking their pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation as closely as possible.
So not repeating after them, but speaking with them simultaneously.
Yes, as if you are their shadow, verbally. It feels weird at first.
I bet. But what's the benefit? Is it just about sounding more native?
That's part of it, but the bigger benefit is internalizing the prosody of English.
Prosody, meaning the rhythm, the stress, the music of the language.
Exactly. Which syllables get stressed, which words get reduced or linked together where the pauses fall naturally. Shadowing trains your mouth and your ear to sync up with those patterns. It improves not just your speaking clarity, but also your ability to understand fast, natural speech.
Because you start to recognize those patterns when you hear them. Okay, shadowing. Powerful stuff for Wednesday's speaking practice.
And singing along to the song is a form of shadowing, too, focusing on rhythm and sound linking.
Right. Okay, that brings us to Thursday, the big one. Focus on speaking.
The high-stakes day, as the outline calls it.
Yeah, this is often the skill that causes the most anxiety for learners. So dedicating 30-40 minutes just to producing spoken English, that's intense. Probably the toughest hour of the week for many.
It likely is, because it demands real-time application. There's less hiding. The plan is quite direct about the best way to tackle this. The premium recommendation, if you can possibly afford it, hire a native English tutor. Use services like Priply, Cambly, italki. The source is quite emphatic. It's money well spent, a really good investment in your progress.
And there's a psychological aspect too, isn't there? Committing to that paid session on Thursday.
It acts as powerful motivation for the rest of the week. You know you have that session coming up, so you study harder Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You don't want to show up unprepared and waste your money or the tutor's time.
Creates accountability. But beyond motivation, what's the core linguistic benefit of the tutor?
Immediate personalized feedback. A good tutor can catch your pronunciation mistakes, grammar errors, awkward word choices right as you make them. They can help you correct yourself and try again, right there in the moment. That dynamic correction loop is incredibly valuable for speaking fluency. You just can't get that from reading a book or even writing.
That makes total sense. And what should you talk about with the tutor? Does the plan suggest topics?
Yes, and it's brilliant because it ties everything together. The main suggested topics are the book you're reading and the TV show you're watching that week.
Ah, so you don't need to stress about finding random conversation topics. You use the content you've already been working with all week.
Exactly. You've already read about it, written about it, pulled the vocabulary from it. You actually have something concrete to discuss.
Yeah.
The vocabulary you need is likely already in your notebook from the previous days.
That integration is really smart.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, tutoring costs money. What if that's just not an option for someone? Does the plan offer an alternative?
It does. It acknowledges tutoring isn't feasible for everyone. The required alternative is you must practice speaking anyway. The main way is talking out loud to yourself.
Just talking to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Narrate what you're doing. Describe your thoughts. Talk about your plans. It might feel incredibly silly at first, standing there talking to the walls.
I can imagine. But does it actually work?
It really does. It forces your brain to retrieve vocabulary and assemble sentences in real time without the pressure of a listener. It's pure retrieval practice for spoken production. Even if the only audience is your cat or your reflection, that act of vocalizing complete thoughts is crucial.
So find ways to speak, even if it's just to yourself. Don't skip the speaking practice.
Absolutely critical. And the rest of Thursday's hour, the integrated practice time, should also be focused on vocalization.
So, more speaking.
Yes, sing your chosen song out loud, read passages from your book out loud, continue shadowing the actors from your TV show. Thursday is all about maximizing the time your voice is actually producing English sounds. It gives that high anxiety, high feedback skill the focus it needs.
Okay, we've navigated the core skill days. Now we arrive at Friday. The focus shifts again, this time to vocabulary. It's the memorization day.
That's right. This entire hour is different. It's not about learning new things. It's about consolidating everything you collected from Monday to Thursday, making sure it sticks.
This sounds crucial, because what's the point of writing down all those words in the notebook if you just forget them a week later?
Exactly. Without this dedicated review, all that collected vocabulary might just remain passive words you kind of recognize but can't actually use. Friday is about deliberately moving those words into your active vocabulary, into long-term memory. It applies principles of spaced repetition systematically.
So how do you do it? What are the activities for Friday?
It's a structured drill. First step, read through all the new words and their definitions that you wrote down in your notebook during the week. Just refresh your memory.
Okay, simple review.
Second step, say each new word out loud. Connect the spelling to the sound again.
Auditory reinforcement. Makes sense.
Third step, and this is probably the most important, use each new word in an original sentence. Say it or write it down.
Okay. So you have to actively produce a context for the word, not just recognize it.
Precisely. This is the transfer step. It moves the word from passive recognition, oh yeah, I remember saying that, to active production. Okay, how can I use this word? That's the difference between knowing about a word and truly owning it so you can use it spontaneously.
Big difference. And the final step.
Keep practicing them reading, saying, using in sentences until you feel you've memorized them. Really drill them in.
And does the plan suggest specific tools for the memorization part?
It's flexible in the tools. It mentions using digital flashcard apps like Quizlet or traditional paper flashcards if you prefer, or even just writing the words and definitions out multiple times. The method isn't as important as the dedicated effort to memorize.
So pick the tool that works for you, but dedicate the time on Friday to really locking in that week's vocabulary.
Yes, it guarantees the weekly effort builds on itself. You're not just constantly pouring water into a leaky bucket, you're sealing the leaks.
That's a good analogy. And it must provide a good sense of accomplishment at the end of the week, too.
Definitely. You can literally see the pages filled in your notebook. You can test yourself and feel like, okay, I actually learned and retained this stuff. Sets you up nicely for the weekend.
Speaking of which, the structured work is Monday to Friday. What happens on Saturday and Sunday? Just relax.
Relaxation is definitely an option and an important one. But the plan also designates the weekend as the weekend maintenance period. It's mainly about preparing for the next week.
Setting up the resources again.
Exactly. There are 3 refresher tasks for the weekend. First, find a new English song for the upcoming week.
Okay, fresh music.
Second, if you finished your book, find a new English book to start on Monday.
Keep the reading material flowing.
And third, if you finished your TV show, find a new English show.
Makes sense. So you use the weekend to swap out the content anchors. Why is that constant refreshing important?
It prevents things from getting stale. If you stick with the same song, book, or show for too long, your learning curve flattens out. You stop encountering as much new language. Rotating the material ensures you're constantly exposed to fresh vocabulary, different themes, new challenges. It keeps the input varied and stimulating.
Strategic rotation. Got it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned relaxation is also an option.
Yes, and the source explicitly includes this, which I think is very wise and humane. The final option for the weekend is just take a break, do nothing related to English study.
Really. The plan actually says it's okay to stop.
Absolutely. It acknowledges that intensive learning is tiring. Sometimes a complete rest is the best thing you can do for your progress. It prevents a burnout, clears your head, and you often come back on Monday feeling more refreshed and receptive to learning.
That's fantastic. It shows the plan is built for the long haul, for real people, not robots. It allows for that necessary mental downtime.
Which is often overlooked in ambitious study plans, leading to people quitting. Building in rest is key to sustainability. Hashtag tag tag outro dip.
Well, this has been an incredibly detailed look at a very structured approach to learning English, a true deep dive. Just to recap the core idea, it's this integrated system. 5 days, about an hour each day. Each day has a primary focus, reading, writing, listening, speaking, vocabulary, but incorporates all the other skills using your chosen book, song, and TV show.
That integration is really the key takeaway, I think. It prevents those skill gaps we talked about, and the structure itself is powerful. By clearly defining the tasks each day, it eliminates that "what should I study now?" paralysis.
Cuts down on wasted time and energy.
Exactly. And it cleverly connects all that hard work back to content you chose, things you're actually interested in, your book, your show, your song. That personal connection is huge for motivation.
It turns passive watching or reading into active, measurable learning and output, which, as you said, is really the only way to truly acquire a language. You have to use it.
You absolutely have to use it. This plan forces that application in a balanced, systematic way.
So it gives you the blueprint, the structure. But you, the learner, you supply the content through your choices and the consistent effort. It seems like a really solid framework for anyone wanting efficient, self-directed progress.
It really does. But it leads to a final thought, doesn't it? Since the whole book's effectiveness hinges so much on those three core media choices you make.
The book, the song, the show.
Right. The ultimate success might not just be about following the daily schedule rigidly. It might actually depend more on the quality and the interest level of the choices you make over the weekend.
So the final challenge for you, the listener, isn't just about discipline Monday to Friday. It's about making smart, engaging choices on Saturday and Sunday.
Exactly. How will the book, song, and show you choose this weekend directly impact how motivated you feel to jump into that hour of study come Monday morning? That choice could make all the difference.